we move on to one of my favorite Black Sabbath albums, Paranoid! Now, believe it or not, Black Sabbath had some success, even though it was panned by music critics everywhere, especially Rolling Stone. To count the success of Black Sabbath, they decided to write and record another album in the same year of 1970. What? Shut up! They can't hear me up there. They can hear you, asshole. Now, the album was supposed to be called War Pigs. That's why the artwork is really bizarre. It shows kind of like a moving effect of a police officer with a sword or something, like a soldier with a sword. But they changed the album name to Paranoid, which is a song in the album that was a last-minute addition. They wrote and did the lyrics in like an hour or so, and they decided to change the album name to Paranoid. Now, Paranoid became a huge success and got them massive mainstream attention and made them explode from this point on, so they could share metal across the entire planet with this newfound popularity. Now, I did forget to mention on the debut review, though, that Geezer Butler is mostly in charge of writing lyrics here and there, and he writes a lot of political lyrics, he writes a lot of love lyrics every once in a while, and he writes a lot of almost satanic and war lyrics, all these kind of darker ideas, and he writes a vast array of different ideas that are all very creative and new. And with a lot more money, success, and time, this album was recorded in, I believe, a week or two, and they were able to add a lot of studio enhancements to some stuff. The sound of the album is definitely a lot better. The guitars don't sound all fuzzy and blah like they were in the first album. Everything sounds a lot tighter, but it still kind of sounds a little crummy, but it doesn't sound as loud and booming. It's more contained. And Ozzy sounds a lot better. He doesn't sound super deep like on the first album. He actually sounds more cutthroat and shrill on this album. They also use a lot of guitar layering and different takes and stuff on here. There's a lot of some studio enhancement, and especially a notable one is Ozzy's voice alteration on the song Planet Caravan. They would do a similar thing on the song Solitude in the next album, but with this one, he sang through like a Leslie speaker, and then they altered it with some sort of studio enhancing thing, and it sounds really bizarre and like kind of echoey. Now, everyone is absolutely on their A game with this album. Personally, even though it's not my absolute favorite Black Sabbath album, it's probably my third favorite. I think the band was at their best when making this album. Geezer Butler's bass lines are really great on this one. It's a little bit harder to hear them, but sometimes you can really hear it, especially on songs like Hand of Doom. John Ozzy Osbourne's vocals are probably my favorite vocals of Ozzy of all time. He sounds great on this album. A lot of people say Ozzy sucks and he's studio enhanced. I don't know. I think on this album, he is, without a doubt, in this whole era, he was the best he's ever sounded. And on Master of Reality, too, he sounded really great. Bill Ward's drumming is absolutely insane, especially on classic songs like War Pigs or Rat Salad, frickin' Iron Man or Paranoid. His drumming is awesome everywhere except Planet Caravan. Tony Iommi, the riff master, every riff he wrote for this album is iconic and great. And his soloing is way better than the last album, and it sounds a little less sloppy and everything sounds really tight and good. So let's get to the first song, War Pigs, which I and many believe is probably not only the maybe best Black Sabbath song, it's probably not my favorite, but it's the best Black Sabbath song of all time, and is one of the best metal songs of all time. This one is heavy as hell. The lyrics are iconic and some of the best metal lyrics of all time. The riffs are great. The slow, epic build-up really builds up this holy shit, like this awesome, like heavy metal atmosphere. And this is, for me, maybe the first album that was like almost all heavy metal all the time. A lot more heavy metal than the first album. War Pigs was originally called Walpurgis, though, which is about like a satanic version of Christmas and stuff, and kind of comparing leaders to these dudes doing these rituals. It was kind of weird, and a version of Walpurgis, this dark version of War Pigs, is actually on the Ozman Cometh CD if you're interested in hearing it. Or just look it up on YouTube like a normal person. Great build-ups, incredible drumming parts, there's riffs all over the place, and instead of like the boring monotonous stuff they do on, say, I don't know, The Warning, they finally crafted metal's first epic song. And it truly is an epic. There's great transitions all the way. And for some reason on the digital versions, on like iTunes or Spotify, for some reason, they cut the end part of the song to be called Luke's Ladder, which is stupid. Or Luke's Wall. Sorry, not. Thinking of Jacob's Ladder. Luke's Wall, which is really stupid because to me it's all one song. So we have all these great riffs and solos, and then there's what's called Luke's Wall, which is this awesome ending build-up part. Not really a build though, more like a climax, really. All the riffs are great to the song. Everyone's on their A game. Probably the best performance on the entire album. War Pigs is a solid 5 out of 5. Then we get to considered a classic by many Black Sabbath fans. I still really like it, but I am really sick of this song, Paranoid. It's a little under 3 minutes. And it is the hit single off this album, Black Sabbath's biggest hit to this date, I believe. And this song also was on Guitar Hero, and it was the first time I'd ever heard this song. It has some cool riffs here and there, but it gets old after a while. The lyrics are very great too, and Ozzy singing is pretty damn great on this song. And the driving rhythm from Bill Ward is absolutely classic and delightful as well. So Paranoid, I'm a little burnt out on it, but I'm going to give it a 4.25 out of 5. Then we move on to an interesting song known as Planet Caravan, which is kind of like a slow, ballady stoner song. There's sort of like an interesting middle section where they change some stuff up. For the most part, it's just kind of a verse thing that goes on and on and on. It's still really great and classic. That's all it really is, though. It's kind of a stonery song with really weird sounding vocals that are Ozzy and not Bill Ward, despite a lot of people's belief. So Planet Caravan, I'm also going to give a 4.25 out of 5. Then we get to another absolute classic song, especially nowadays when they played it a lot in the movie Iron Man, that a lot of people are burnt out on. I'm not really burnt out on it yet. Iron Man. Iron Man is about, I believe, a hero or something, like a giant titan that comes to Earth and saves it, and then everyone gets pissed off at him. He realizes everyone's an asshole, and he decides to exterminate the human race. Pretty cool, interesting story. And the riffs in it are insane and iconic. A thing that I'm not a huge fan of, and some other people have actually pointed out to me, is that the vocals parallel the riff, or it completely follows it, and it's somewhat of a simple, cheesy riff. You know, the main Iron Man riff, but I really prefer a lot of the other riffs in the song. I pretty much love almost every other section of that song. I do like that riff, but everything else is just really, really great. I love all the different parts into it, and I like how they can kind of take a simple song and really do a lot with it. This is a pretty much really great standard Black Sabbath track, and like I said, NIB had kind of become the blueprint for a lot of classic Black Sabbath songs like Iron Man. Iron Man derives a lot from NIB. The solo's really great at the very end. There's a lot of really cool transitions. The song's kind of all over the place. In structure, it's kind of hard to learn, but the riffs are easy. So, Iron Man, I love it. 5 out of 5. Then we get to a really cool song that I discovered while listening to like a couple songs really loved off it. I really got into this song and the last track, Fairies Wear Boots. This one, Electric Funeral, is about nuclear war, and what a perfect song for nuclear war. It sounds really electric, just like the song to Electric Funeral. It's heavy as hell and really badass. This song kind of takes the blueprints sort of the song Black Sabbath, the slow, monotonous, in a good way, dark song that's heavy as all fuck. The riffs are incredible and iconic and memorable. The first time I heard that Electric Funeral riff, it was branded into my brain, and I could never forget how awesome the riff was. The lyrics are really great too, that Bill Ward wrote. The entire band's on fire. There's a lot of great drum parts. The song gets faster at the end, and I love the part when I believe it's Bill Ward going like, Electric Funeral, over and over and over. It's kind of funny. His drumming at the end there is insane, and they have this great, fast, almost speed metal-like breakdown. Electric Funeral, another 5 out of 5. Then we get to a song I was not a big, huge fan of at first, probably my least favorite track for a while, which is a longer song, 7 minutes, known as Hand of Doom. It almost feels like 2 songs, because you have this really cool bluesy build-up, and I believe the song's about PTSD, and we have this really cool bass and drum build-up, almost like this somewhat jazzier, bluesy type of approach to the first half. With the first half is good and all, but then the second half, it's almost like 22 Acacia Avenue for me. Well, the beginning's pretty good, but then when we get into the rest of the song, it's heavy as fuck. It's all over the place. It's energetic as hell, and there's great soloing, great intervals, and everything. Everything is fun as hell, and I absolutely love this song. Now, Hand of Doom is badass and easily one of the highlights of the album, 5 out of 5. Then we get to a song where the band really starts showing off their self-indulgence or whatever, you know, their true ability of playing. Rat Salad is an incredible instrumental piece where every member except Ozzy gets to show off what they can do. Definitely a way better instrumental than, say, Sleeping Village off the last album. It's a little short and there's a lot of jazzy type of influences here and there, and the guitar riffs, the bass intervals, and the great drums really drive the song to be all over the place and fun-loving, and a really, really well-written instrumental. But it feels like they could have gone a little bit longer with it because it's somewhat short, and there's a cool drum solo at the end. And overall, I probably prefer this song over Moby Dick, so I'm gonna give this one a 4.75 out of 5. Then we get to a song with a weird title. Ozzy wrote the lyrics to this one, Fairies Wear Boots. Apparently, this song's about how people used to bully them who shaved their heads, so they call them fairies, and they wore boots all the time, so fairies wear boots. It has a really weird intro, and Rat Salad actually kind of bleeds into this one. It has a somewhat weird bluesy / jazz approach to the intro. It's really bizarre and very, very original in my opinion. And then the song kicks into this heavy as hell, hard rocking song, Fairies Wear Boots. The riff is really, really, really cool. The entire band is really exploding on this one, especially in the chorus. Ozzy's delivering this amazing performance as Bill Ward and Iommi and Geezer just go absolutely nuts and batshit ballistic. Everything is pure greatness of this song. This song really wraps up the album in a perfect way and pretty much shows what this whole album's about. This really, really, really focused and strong song to end the album that just represents how good this album is. Fairies Wear Boots, a 5 out of 5, another great song. A lot consider this album to be their very best. I'd say there's maybe 2 that are a bit better, but overall it's maybe their most focused album in a way. It used to be my favorite as well, but you know, I do like a lot of songs off the albums I like a little bit better more.